Here's how it's going to work. We're going to pick a topic. We're going to rank our top 3, and we're going to talk about it. Easy enough, right?
And that's Unpopular Disney Opinions for you. This episode, I feel like, is so quintessentially the number 1 of all episodes because I feel like
Disney.
It is the epitome of Disney. I feel like the princesses are so iconic, and they're just as iconic as Mickey Mouse themselves, right?
Yes. And I feel like we're going to have very different princesses.
So today we are going to be counting down the top Disney princesses. Like, we're talking top Disney princesses all time.
Our favorite, though. Not what we think, what people would think. They are our personal favorite top 3 Disney princesses.
Our top 3 Disney princesses. All right, Lindsay, why don't you go first? So how this podcast is going to go, we're going to go 3, 2, 1. We're both going to reveal our 1s together, 2s together, 3s together. Start with number 3. All right, Lindsay, go ahead.
Let me go first? Okay. So my number 3 is going to be Rapunzel from the Disney movie Tangled. Which I know you don't like Tangled.
I feel like it's, Rapunzel's kind of like the second wave of princesses, right? And I feel like sometimes with that second wave, you always like forget one. And I feel like Rapunzel is I always forget Rapunzel.
I think Brave is always my forgotten princess movie.
Also, that's actually a really good point.
That's like the one that I haven't seen, but it is like a 21st century princess. But also to your point, they get overshadowed by Frozen because it was such a big hit, which we'll get into later. But
it's very true.
So my number 3 is Rapunzel. I mean, I love Tangled. It is by far one of my favorite Disney princess movies. But Rapunzel as a princess, I think is interesting because the whole movie, she doesn't know she's a princess until the very end. So she has a very different charm and personality about her, say, than an Ariel or a Cinderella.
She's humble. Like she is truly like the definition of humble.
Yeah. She's humble. She's super likable. She's funny. For being trapped in a tower, her whole life, all she's doing is dreaming of adventure and dreaming of getting out. And she's so positive. She's not like some negative Nelly who's like, I'm trapped here forever and blah, blah, blah.
I just think that like, if you had to say, sometimes I just forget her. Like, I feel like there are some forgettable qualities.
So how do you forget her?
I don't know. I guess I just do. I don't know.
I think she's great. And also I think she has, which we'll get into later, one of the best little animal sidekicks, Pascal. He's so cute.
Lindsay, you can't be giving away some of our future topics.
Just, putting in. No, but I like her a lot. I had a really hard time of like where to put her because I knew she was for sure going to be in my top 3. But she's number 3 for me.
Okay.
What about you?
So I feel like it was very hard for me to decide on my 1, 2s, and 3s. Actually, no, my 2, 3, like 4, 5, because I think I had some very close knit ones, which, by the way, we oftentimes with probably the majority of these topics, Lindsay, we'll probably have some honorable mentions that we'll mention at the very end. So my number 3 was Princess Tiana. And if you have heard that growling, that is also Princess Daisy Lou.
Yes.
Daisy Lou is our little baby sestra. Is she like our little sister, or is she like our,
my baby?
Yeah.
And her little Tinkerbell shirt. We're matching.
If you're watching on our YouTube channel, she is wearing her Tinkerbell shirt in honor of our first podcast.
I don't know what she's growling at, but she's growling at
you. So I think that what makes Princess Tiana different is that she actually can do some hard work. I feel like she is
a job.
I love a girl that can really just like dirty her hands, do the hard work, understands what it takes to make some lofty goals. Like, I want to get that bomb place on the river, and no matter what it's going to take, I am going to try to work my hardest to get there. And
I do think she is a really good role model too. Like, she's a hard worker, and that's sometimes not a trait that a lot of the other princesses have.
So when I looked back at all the different princesses, I honestly felt like I couldn't say that any of them had like a tangible skill outside of my 1 and 2, I know you have 1 or 2 that I also agree that have a tangible skill. Like, I feel like Tiana was one of the few princesses that had a legitimate tangible skill, which is cooking. And she's awesome at it, you know? Because I feel like I went through the list and I'm like, what is Jasmine's tangible skill? No. Cinderella's tangible skill, like cleaning. Like, I don't know that like I'm like a little girl. I want to aspire to be Cinderella, the cleaning princess. You know? Or like, I think the only one that
singing, but you know, she's dumb and probably
gives away her voice for the love of a man. I mean, that is no way to teach a little girl how to be a real princess.
Horrible role model. Horrible.
Yeah, this is not Disney's top role models. But you know, I do think that the princesses do have to emulate that role model material, and that definitely has something to do with my decision making in my list. But
I like Moana. I really don't like Princess and the Frog, but it's not the worst, but it's not my favorite.
Here's the thing is it came at an era where everybody was ready for the Shreks. Everyone was ready for the Shrek, the Zootopia, that style of animation, because Princess and the Frog was the last of its kind at the time. At the time, Disney has since brought that style of animation back because they can find a way to reimagine it a little bit, Mickey Mouse's new shorts, which I absolutely love. But at the time, they were like, this is it. And this is the last of the Disney animation movies that are like this. And I feel like that maybe had like a little bit to do with it because they were like, well, we've already been working on this project. We've committed to it. It's our first African-American princess. Like, we almost have to do this. And also, but we also are working on bigger and better projects that have a different style of animation that is more cutting edge. And I feel like that maybe was a reason why Princess and the Frog didn't originally do as well. Because I feel like it's still I feel like it's still a big hit for like the little girls in Princess Land.
Oh, it definitely is. Oh my gosh, definitely. You always see little Tiana's dressed up in Disney World. Always.
I know. I love it so much. And I'm super excited for the Splash Mountain
I can't wait.
Skin or whatever it's called. I mean, I'm like, it's about time that
for Princess and the Frog, which is about time.
It's the perfect ride too.
Like, I've never seen that movie that Splash Mountain is based off of. I didn't even know it was a movie because it's been there forever since we were kids. It's time.
Song of the South, and you cannot find it on Disney Plus because that's how racist it is.
That's how bad it is. All right, Jamie, to my number 2.
Number 2.
Okay, which I feel like you may agree with me, you may not. My number 2 is Elsa from the Disney movie Frozen and Frozen 2.
Hey, who was your number 1? I thought that was going to be for sure your number 1.
So I debated. I really wanted, which I'm not going to give away my number 1 quite yet. I wanted a mixture of like new age and like old age princesses. Okay. I wanted to make sure I had one from at least like the 90s or before, you know, because some of them came out way before the 90s, which will be my number 1. But Elsa's number 2. I mean, she's a boss. Like, and I also love that she doesn't have a love interest in Frozen.
That's because she is, in my opinion, bi. But Disney's too afraid to actually come out and say that she's either gay. I mean, just gay in general. But I have to agree with you on that because I feel like
it's reflective.
Yeah.
It also
gives
me like very much Princess Diary vibes, you know, and I think it's Princess Diaries 2.
Ooh.
Where they won't let Mia get married without a husband. But she's like, they end up obviously letting her become the queen without a man. And that's very much like, it wasn't a big deal in Frozen. They didn't.
So you're saying that like they kind of like took from the idea of Princess and the Diaries too?
No, I wouldn't say that completely, obviously, because like Elsa has superpowers and a sister and such. But I do think that they emulate each other in that sense. You don't need a queen to be a queen.
How much did her having a superpower had to do with your decision of her being a number 2?
Not much.
No?
I mean, Rapunzel also has like superpowers.
I know, but I feel like okay, so like in The Incredibles, you have like Frozone, like you know, like Spider-Man. I feel like that is like I want to be a superhero that there's an action to like some of my superpowerness. Like Rapunzel, like, oh, my hair grows. Like, cool.
Her hair has
heals and
healing
grows, and
powers.
I know. But like, how did that not have anything to do with
I'm
her
not
being
saying it
on
had
illness?
0%, but I don't think it had a big deal. I think that Elsa also is just very independent. I mean, obviously branching off the fact that she doesn't have a man.
Obviously.
And like also my favorite part about Elsa in Frozen 2, how she gives up being queen for her
Yes.
sister.
Yes.
You don't see men doing that, and you don't see a prince or a king in any of these movies doing that. You see the opposite. You see like Scar killing like his brother. Like you don't to be king. Like you don't see that in Disney movies. And it was so effortlessly and selfless. Like that's again something that little girls should look up to.
I feel like we're gonna see. I mean, I know. So in my number 2, sacrifice was a huge factor for me. But I also don't think that sacrifice needs to be the ultimatum of success. You know, which I think is hard, because I think that, like, you know, you mix the movies together. I think in the grand scheme of things, you can have some princesses that make ultimate sacrifices. But I think for her, it wasn't. I don't even know if Elsa really made a sacrifice.
It was just a conscious decision.
Yeah, she made the right decision. That she wasn't.
She wasn't the one to be queen anymore. She had other things to do.
Yeah,
she had a new adventure, a new chapter, and she closed that book and went on to the next one. I love.
She was ready. She was ready.
You want to hear a fun fact? Quick fun fact.
Yes.
So you know that Idina Menzel voices Elsa. She actually auditioned for Rapunzel, and Mandy Moore got it over her. And the directors just kind of kept her in mind. Frozen came out, I believe, 3 years later, after Rapunzel, and then they kept her in mind, and she became Elsa. That's
interesting. Now that stumping me on a fun fact, I think, is a good feat. But all right, my number 2. I don't know that any of these are going to be a surprise. I don't think my number 1's going to be a huge surprise to you.
Probably not.
But to everybody else, I think it will be. My number 2 is my number 2 top Disney princess is Mulan.
I knew that was coming.
I mean, one, who doesn't love a cross-dressing hero, right?
Oh, yes.
But I think, you know, I think this movie was I kind of compared this movie to the ones that were around it to some extent, right? Yes, Ariel sacrificed her voice, but like that's for her own selfish gain.
That's for her own selfish reasons. And that was stupid.
Where Mulan sacrificed and knew, like, if my dad went to war, I probably won't see him again. So I'm going to do it because I know that's best for my family.
Regardless if she comes home or not. Obviously, when you go to war, you never know.
So I think that, like, with sacrifice, it was a hand-in-hand decision for me, because I think the biggest decision for me on this was action. That's kind of my biggest theme, I think, for my 1 and 2 was taking action. Because I think, like, no offense, like Elsa, all she did was like step down. She had some self-realization. She made the mature move, but like Mulan took shit in her own hands, and she was like, "No, I'm going in there." She does what is necessary.
Frozen 2, they go into the forest. And
I know. But the cute, creepy lizard, he's my favorite part.
Oh my god, he's the cutest.
I mean, okay, I know Mulan 2 isn't the most quintessential movie ever.
Mulan 2?
Listen, hold on, let me get there. So we watched Mulan 2 recently in my Disney movie group. Shout out to my peeps. And they, in that movie, if you haven't seen it, there's like the emperors. So there's just emperors like in their three daughters, and Mulan and her hubby, soon to be hubby, are tasked to basically bring them across the country to marry, to have basically marry to like empire families to like unite the country, right? And essentially, like, what happens on this journey is basically these emperor's daughters, there's 3 of them, and actually Sandra Oh was actually one of the voices of them, and also Lucy Liu. Yeah, fun fact about that. In Mulan 2, Lucy Liu, that these girls end up falling for the awesome like cross-dressing guys, like the kind of 3 stooges type of guys. And she was like, no, like, I'm not going to make you guys, like, I'm not going to take you there to make you guys marry just for the emperor's sake to unite the country. Like, instead, I'll do it. I'll step in and marry this dumb dork that, the other emperor's son, to bring the two kingdoms together. I mean, granted, she thought that whatever his face is, her husband guy, had died, which has something obviously to do with it. But she was willing to not only she's made the sacrifice for her country, for her father. She was made the sacrifice for her country again to marry. Like, and she's not afraid to take action. And I think that there's no hesitation in Mulan to do that. But at the same time, like in that movie, granted, not everything of my Mulan-ness was based on Mulan 2, but I do think it helped the case where the other movies are just trash.
That's fair. I mean, most sequels are trash.
This one wasn't as trashy as the other ones, but I feel like with Mulan, you could see some of the cognitive decision-making that she was doing when she was in the second movie, being like, oh, I don't know if he's the right guy for me. And actually, like, speaking...
I agree. She probably is one of the more intelligent princesses. Is Mulan one of my favorite movies ever? No.
Wait,
I don't think it.
Then who is the most intelligent princess? Actually, I think I know who your answer is. Hold on. I think I know who your answer is, and I think it's going to be your number one.
Yeah. Do you want me to go? Are you done with Mulan?
I'm done with Mulan. She's my number 2.
Okay, my number 1, going off of intelligent princesses, it's Belle from the Disney animated movie Beauty and the Beast.
Okay. This shocks me because I didn't even have Belle on my top.
So
top
you
3 for
talk
sure.
about forgetting princesses, and she's probably the most underrated, possibly forgetful, early aged princess. But I mean, one of my favorite princess movies between Beauty and the Beast and like The Little Mermaid. Ariel is not my favorite princess, but there's more, that makes a movie than just the main character. But I do think Belle is all-encompassing the best princess, and she has no superpowers.
Her brain is her superpower.
Her brain is her intelligence, her like love for learning, her compassion towards others. And I think that in terms of being a role model for young children, she really shows that like it's okay to be different. And it doesn't really matter.
But do you think Belle is kind of a basic bitch?
In a sense. But also, like, think about when it came out. Like, when you...
It's true. No, it's true. It's true.
Became a young adult, as a female, you're expected to be married and then, be in the home. Cook and clean and take care of the kids. And she was not about that life. No. She liked to read. She liked to, invent gadgets with her father. She knew she was
I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that.
She knew she was different, and she knew she had something better in life, like in store for her than what everyone else in her town was doing.
I mean, I love her. I love her like relentless pushing away Gaston. I thought that was incredible. That's what I was
gonna say too. On top of that, the stereotypical hot buff it man. She was like, "No thanks, I'm good. I'm gonna live my life.
I'm gonna take the hairy beast.
I'm gonna take the beast." But yeah, no, she's my fave. I think she is the best. I think she does encompass a lot of really great attributes that are maybe forgotten.
I think you're convincing me that Belle should have for sure been on my honorable mentions. But she actually does take some action too. Like when she left to like realize like, hey, my dad's in trouble. I need to go save him.
She took his place, as
yep.
What's the right
sacrifice?
Term? Yes.
Being Beast's prisoner.
Yes. She took her father's place as prisoner, which is very selfless.
I actually
again didn't put up with the Beast bullshit at first. Like he was like, well, you have to come eat dinner with me. And she's like, no, I'm gonna stay in my room.
So actually a fun fact about, I know you're talking about the animated movies, but actually a fun fact about the live action, outside of, is Cruella considered like a live action? Like, yeah. Outside of Cruella, I thought
it's live action.
Outside of Cruella, I thought that Beauty and the Beast's live action was the best.
Emma Watson was the absolute perfect.
Okay. I was just going to say that she was the quintessential Belle. And I actually found out that they had to push production on Beauty and the Beast because they had to make so many versions of the dress because Emma Watson would not let them basically make a dress with a corset because she didn't want that to be resemblance of her character in the movie.
God,
So
I love Emma Watson so much.
I mean, she's like, nope, you're going to hold production. So this dress can fit me perfectly and not have any sort of like
yeah, she's great. I forgot about the live action actually. But it's by far one of my favorite live action.
Yeah.
Disney.
And fun fact, Emma Thompson in both of those. So Cruella and Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. Wasn't she Mrs. Potts?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
OG.
All right, let's hear your number one. Drum roll.
Drum roll. Drum roll.
I have a who this is. Yep.
Make way. Make way. Yeah, my voice is so horrible when it comes to singing. I'm never going to do that again.
I had a really hard time with Moana because I really do love her. I love the movie, but she did not make my top 3. But I knew she was going to be on the list. I knew it.
I have so many good things to say about Moana that I could go on for a year. I will not. I will sum up and say, here's the thing. Moana is the most complete princess. She's strong. She has the amazing, best personality. She is a natural born leader. She did something. She made sacrifice and she wasn't afraid. Like in my mind, she checked every box. Like, sure, you could be attracted to the demigod Maui, but she wasn't. She saw it as a business transaction, but still wanted to keep a friendship and relationship from a like platonic standpoint. Like there were certain even facial things that Disney did to make it seem like, yeah, this is not a relationship. This is very much a like soon to be amazing friendship. She accepts a chicken as her sidekick. Like, I mean, come on.
Hey.
Worst sidekick ever.
I don't get why they chose to leave Pua behind. And they
we're not starting on that because you know my thoughts about it. It was literally I walked away being like, I love that movie so much. Where the fuck was Pua? Where was Pua? In the movie 25%.
I will say I really like Moana. I think the perfect word to describe her as all the things you had just previously described her is she's resilient.
Yeah. She
puts her mind to it and you can see it throughout the movie of her like encouraging herself and like telling herself that she can do these things that everyone told her she can't do. And she ends up doing them. And she kicks ass.
I think you couldn't have said it better. I mean, I could not have said it better myself.
Not mine.
Yeah, but I think that like her like inability to be like she is not afraid of adversity. The open ocean, she's like, hell yes. And to be honest with you, like she like basically showed up a demigod when the demigod was too scared to go up against an island. She's like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, find some inner peace. And I think that's tough for a lot of people. I'm gonna find inner peace. You know, like everybody has their own belief system, and you know, she sort of found it in her to like kind of, you know, speak to her grandma. And I think they're like,
oh, I love her grandma.
Grandma Tala is the dopest.
She is.
I don't know. I just feel like, and the weird thing too is it had nothing to do with all the other princesses, but I actually loved who they chose to voice Moana and her ability to sing.
Their voice actors in the whole movie was casted very well. Very, very well.
I loved it. Hands down.
There was 2 actors from the original cast of Hamilton that were in Moana. I believe the chief is played by the man who played George Washington. But like Elsa, she's a chief without a king.
She's a chief without a king. I know. I mean, for me, at the end of the movie, I don't really know that these other princesses were able to do what Moana did too at the end of the day. Like she had paved a new lifestyle, a new way of life for her people. And I think at the end of the day, like, yes, she was able to take action and she inspired change, which, you know, the other princesses, I'm sure did on some level, right? But like the immediacy of the impact of that change you saw in Moana instantly. You know, where like Tiana, you see the people coming in at the end of the movie, they accept the alligator as the trumpet guy, which is super cool. But I mean, you're talking about something that changed the game for an entire group of people and an entire lifestyle. And I think for me, that's why like Moana is the most complete princess.
I agree. She's not on my list, but I really like her.
I'm gonna tell you this: if Moana had come out, like 10 years previous, I really don't know if it would do it as.
It wouldn't have.
No, it wouldn't have, because I don't think a Polynesian princess they would have thought to do it. But if it had, I'm gonna just say this: I would have been obsessed.
Oh, I
obsessed.
know. You would. It would have been like a Goofy to you.
Yeah, I know.
Like a Tinkerbell to me.
I mean, I've always loved how integrated the Polynesian culture is to Disney, because Walt Disney's wife was a huge fan of that culture, which is why they have the Polynesian resort in Disney World, and it was one of the OGs. And I think that was like, this was like the perfect fit, you know, like
it definitely filled a need that Disney needed.
Do you ever wonder like what the next Disney princess is going to be? I mean, like, listen, Disney is embracing more change, and I feel like
I was gonna say like maybe someone European, but they just released Luca, which was Italian, so I don't think we get an Italian princess anytime soon.
Yeah,
because we just got Luca. I don't know.
I hope the next princess is going to be gay. Just saying.
Oh, that's a really good point. Actually, I was thinking more geographically.
Yeah, I don't care what they do. I just hope that there's more fluidity. But okay, as promised, honorable mentions. Lindsay, go ahead.
So mine come as no surprise since they're on your list, but they just didn't fit mine. Of course, Moana and Tiana, but also, do you consider Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph a princess?
So I have her on my honorable mention only for that sake that I actually didn't know, but if she did, she's the dopest.
I love her. I also like those movies a lot. They're really good movies.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I've never been a Disney princess fan outside of Moana. I think that's one of the main differences that you guys will end up soon finding out between my sister and I.
We have. This is one of our, I feel like, very big differences. Is I loved the princess movies growing up.
And I did not. But I loved one of my favorite scenes in almost all of Disney Pixar was that princess scene in Wreck-It Ralph 2 when Vanellope was hanging out with all the princesses. I think
Ralph breaks the internet. That was great. I mean, like, kind of paralleling with Rapunzel is Vanellope didn't know she was a princess till the end of the first movie. You know, she has like her little glitch, but she learns to like find beauty in it. I like her. I think she's a princess. So she's in my honorable mentions.
And her best friend is a platonic older male.
Yes, Ralph.
I mean, listen, I don't know that hey, you can, it's okay to be like, you know, best friends with strange old men.
Honestly, it's probably one of the only princesses that like they're like actually best friends, and it's just strictly platonic.
Yeah, I think that is cool. Would I preach that to my kids ever?
No.
Maybe not, but I do think that like the thought was there, and I'm totally down for it.
Yeah. Okay. So what are yours?
I had Elsa, now Belle, and I had Vanellope. Well, you basically convinced me just now that I should definitely, I feel like an intelligent woman belongs somewhere on my list.
Oh my gosh, thank you. You're the biggest compliment you've ever given me in our whole life.
That's not true. I just, I had so many issues with all the other princesses. Like, not to say that this will be another podcast, because I don't know that it will, because I just have so much disdain for how pathetic some of the other princesses are.
I think it would be like too explicit, because I have a lot of opinions about Ariel and like Anna from Frozen. I guess those are my main two that I have like issues with.
Anna, really?
Anna. But it's hard because I love I think her like actual character is dumb, but like I love Kristen Bell and I love the music that she creates and like her songs. I really enjoy.
I think
So
that
it's like,
I think she has a resiliency to this like unafraid of death vibe to her that I actually like.
but
But
she
I
got
was more
engaged to a
thinking.
man after like having like literally one scene with him. They sang a song and then like we're getting married.
Okay, yes, I was trying not to bring that up because that is the most pathetic part about her.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
my main issue.
I don't have anything nice to say about like Snow White. Cool, you can talk to animals. I don't know that I'd like to see my kid talking to squirrels in the front
I
yard.
forget about Aurora because those movies came
Aurora
out.
Aurora does nothing for me.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing for me. So I feel like for me it was a short list anyway, to some
Same.
extent. But then it was hard choosing what, in my mind, the best princess was. I mean, it wasn't hard to choose the best, but it was hard to choose, like I said, between 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we should ask our friends and those if Vanellope actually is considered a Disney princess.
I tried to look online a little bit, and it's all like
Up for debate.
opinionated. Yes, I don't think Disney's ever come out and said yes or no,
Yeah.
and they won't.
Who knows? Well, hey, that was our top 3 Disney princesses. Tune in next week for a different topic and more unpopular Disney opinions.